And welcome for joining me. This is the Fed week. A couple things that we'll just expand upon real quickly and blow right through this. The S&Ps last week bouncing off support, boom, with a new high in the advanced decline. Now this is Genesis Software Trade Navigator. The NASDAQ 100 daily AD comp lines breaks out, volume breaks out, OBV. So it's defying gravity. We went from an oversold condition on stochastics in the SPY. We're not overbought yet, but bottom line, what's really interesting is, as we put in our weekly newsletter here, a couple things that we want to focus in on for this week. The way the internals look with new highs and good, strong volume trends is usually volume precedes price, and the AD comp line, more advancers outpacing decliners, is generally a positive thing. Look at the monthly resistance, 581.75. Look at the quarterly pivot resistance, 585. Where are we in the quarter? We got, believe it or not, 2 weeks and 1 day to the end of the quarter. And then we go into the final stretch, the fourth quarter for the year. Bottom line is, could we rule out a run to the roses to the upside? Interesting observations here in what we do, and the reason why my weekly newsletter, and we use this in the live trading room as well to prepare us for the week. I wouldn't, as I said, I wouldn't be surprised to see a SPY test pivot resistance next week based on strength in the ADs. That's the weekly resistance. I think we have to maybe look at the monthly and quarterly pivot resistance. So that's the bottom line. We've been talking to you guys in the YouTube channel about doing IWM spreads, and we still remain with thinking that we're going to get a early January effect where small caps tend to outperform blue chips. No one's talking about the January effect because, well, it's not even January. But this is where you get small caps outperforming blue chips. The issue there is, I think as we take a look at the Dow Jones, big volume, typically I think you're just going to get a broad-based rally entirely. So that could be what's different this year. And if we get a move in the SPY up to quarterly pivot resistance and or monthly resistance, what could take us there? Well, quite frankly, we could get a few of the heads of the five families, not maybe 8, but 5, maybe 4. Microsoft, I think we could take off Apple off the table. But Microsoft could move up. In fact, we have a staggering order to buy Microsoft based on last week's analysis, and had a nice little weekly buy signal. Here's the direct recommendation we have for this week. But also in lieu of Microsoft, we were recommending the November to get you through not one, not two Fed meetings, but also the election, and maybe a broken wing butterfly is one decent way of playing with good theta quality options strategy that you don't have to worry about near-term volatility with this particular Fed meeting. I think Microsoft on its own could see some upside. Google could see some upside. Amazon could see some upside. Meta could see some upside. And Microsoft. Those 4 names, to me, have a resounding chart pattern and internal market strength that we could see some more upside. So we've been building the Russell position. We have a last week, as you'll see here, we got stopped out of Foot Locker. I feel kind of stupid, but we did so well. We're just trailed our stop on AT&T, got out of half the position, and hurt me to do that on Boston Properties. Got out of half the position on British Tobacco, hurt me to got out of that because it's a 9.5% dividend yield. But I think we wanted to raise some cash and move to other things as well. We took off half the position in AMD at 5204, and we raised stops. So this week, depending on how we were feeling about the market, from when I do the newsletter on a Saturday and a Sunday to what the reality is Monday, Tuesday, and then again Wednesday, that things can change, obviously. So our current positions is, again, AT&T, Pfizer, Boston Properties, Tobacco, Alibaba, longer-term trade. We're in at lower levels. Amazon, trying to add to that trade. We're going to have to bump up that bid from 67. We're going to have to raise that a bit. We're in a decent price on half the position. MongoDB, AMD still in half the position. And then PayPal. Been in that trade for about 2 weeks. Maybe got in a little early. But what I feel that we could see happen when we get the Fed's press conference out of the way, it's not necessarily the action or the activity, and my 2 cents is we're going to get a 1/4 point rate cut, nothing more. But Jay Powell should be pretty darn positive at that podium about further rate cuts, and that would be my take. Nobody wants to talk about this, but here's why I don't believe he can go with a 1/2 point rate cut all at once. They came into this world with a small initial rate hike of a 1/4 point, and they're coming out of this policy probably with another 1/4 point rate cut. And I don't think they're going to be able to do a 1/2 point to upset the global interest rate market. It would send the dollar in a tailspin. Gold could fly up. We might see dollar denominated products, gold, besides gold, crude oil. So there's going to be maybe some ripple effects that people aren't thinking about. Swap derivative valuations could change in major institutions and banks across the pond. So therefore, I think that it's a quarter for now, and then he'll telegraph we're easing the rest of the way, and we're going to just glide through the end of the year. And then no one can really blame him for cutting at the next meeting, which would be right at the election, and say he's being political about it. So I think that's the game plan for right now. Another reason I don't think it can be a half is inflation didn't go down last month. It actually went up. It upticked. No one wants to tell you. It went up less, and it's below 3%, but it upticked. It didn't downtick. The only saving grace that we have is that energy prices, crude oil specifically, has been trading between 68, 67, and 70, and that's about it. All right, last week I mentioned about UPS. I still like UPS. Energy stays down, UPS should do well. We have a sympathy-like kind competitor coming out with earnings Thursday, FedEx. Today, we've made a recommendation in the live trading room. Whirlpool. If we get rate cuts, then possibly we're just going to start to see more housing. We saw Restoration Hardware with a huge gain on positive, not just top line, bottom line beat, but great guidance going forward. Whirlpool 105 strike calls. We did those for the Oct expiration for $2. And next thing you know, I mean, it's not a hard call, I think. That's not one of the high beta names that I think we want to look at. A high beta meaning a big performer. What we're looking at is possibly AMZN, Amazon. Amazon, this is one, if you take a look at the charts, we are at pretty much the same price as we were at the peak highs in November of 21. So Amazon, you're telling me with the web services, cloud, we're talking about increasing investment in AI. You're talking about the seasonality of people shopping online during the holidays through Amazon. Somewhere in here, you're going to see a dip. My guess is any dip is going to be bought with both hands open, so to speak. So between 73, again, that monthly pivot support, markets are trading north of there. The volumes increased a little bit. I like an Amazon on dips, right? Microsoft, I already gave you what Microsoft's doing. Goog, you could look at Google, which is the Class A shares, or Goog, either one, 10 to one or the other. Same chart pattern. I like this double bottom volume. It looks more like a bullish convergence. First test of resistance will be around 69. That's where we were in August. It's not that hard to fathom that kind of a call in Google. So those are some of the ideas that I think that we could look at. I'm avoiding the banks for right now because I have exposure with IWM, and IWM would be good representation of rates coming down, helping the regional banks. And if you put a gun to my head and said, which regional bank would you take a look at first? It would have to be, as you see right here, it says Person's Market Catcher, the PMC indicator. The ones that are bright blue, outperforming. Fifth Third outperforming. Maybe MT&B, and again, I would go with Fifth Third before anything else. I like Truist Financial, which is BBT and SunTrust, but quite frankly, I think the relative strength is what you got to use. So in the live trading room, PayPal is one that we've got only a half position. We were looking for a dip. The on-balance volume, it's maintaining a pretty decent, if I just drew a line here. I mean, it's real simple stuff. It's basic, but you could clearly see it's kind of like a 45-degree angle. I don't make my decisions based on 45-degree angles, but I think that the volume surge is pretty decent. I don't trust it enough to buy close to this high, so I'm still thinking we get a retest of the lows, and this turns into at the very least a challenge to come in and fill the gap that exists at 66. So again, that's why we only have a half position, and we're still working orders to buy PayPal on a dip. Other than that, gang, good luck on this week's Fed meeting. I've given you my insights, and also if the outlay of what the SPY could possibly do, which is rally to those monthly, quarterly pivot resistance targets, what would be the catalyst? Well, let's review again. It's the end of the quarter. It's window dressing time. Don't forget that. I don't know if that's been beaten up and shaken of the bushes here, but if we really get an end of quarter and quadruple witching boost in the market, we could get a powerful rally towards the end of the month after we get through this week's Fed meeting. Remember, this is a shortened trading month. We had Labor Day, so we lost a week there. Today was, I think, besides Mexico's Independence Day, Viva Mexico. And in China, it's Autumn Festival. They celebrate the harvest. Japan is the holiday for the respect for the aged. So be kind when you read this, look at this video. Be kind to the aged guy that's doing these for you. Give him a thumbs up if you like what you hear. Respect for the aged in Japan. That's a holiday. And with that, we should get everything back in a world global order after Jay Powell's press conference on Wednesday. Thanks for listening, and we'll give you an update. I think you got enough to kind of feed off and do some due diligence and look into for your own accord, and then see if what would carry the market higher. Those names go higher, it's going to probably have a strong positive effect on the S&Ps, and that's what could get us up into that resistance. Thanks again for listening. Until next time, have a great